And I'm like, girl, are you just trying to look like a dry piece of crumpled up paper? Like, why? What's up, guys? It's Brittany, and as some of you may or may not know, I have been a professional makeup artist for nearly 10 years now. And in sharing the tips and tricks that I've learned over the years as an artist, my goal is to create videos that are both informative and fun, as well as tutorials that are actually easy to follow. Now, I'm not even gonna front. Today's video might be a little triggering for some people because it's such a big trend. Today's video is all about, should I bake or should I not bake? And for those of you who don't know what baking is, basically baking is a technique that, in my opinion, started with the drag queens, or started with people who were on stage with theatrical makeup. And basically what baking is you take an excess of powder, you put it on your skin, and you let it sit. And this powder, you guys, literally traps the body heat to where it bakes your makeup. That excess powder traps the body heat in so that your powder and your makeup literally morph together. For my personal friends, y'all know how I feel about baking. I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. I'm not a huge fan of baking. It's not new news. However, I still wanted to do a video that addresses it. So a lot of times when people bake, they put the powder underneath their eyes, down the center of their nose, maybe on their chin, in their T-zone, along their jawline. Basically, a lot of people will take their sponge, whether it be a beauty blender or what have you, they'll dip it into their powder and they'll press it into those areas. So baking your face can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I think it's all dependent on the situation. For me, I think baking is great when you need your makeup to last and you want it to stay on all day, and you're gonna be maybe under lights, or you're gonna be out in a humid climate, or maybe you're going to be out in the heat. Whatever the case may be, baking can be a very good thing for making your makeup last. Now, one of the things I commonly see on Instagram a lot is people who bake underneath their eyes. Now guys, the under eye area is a very delicate area. It's got thin skin, and so therefore it tends to wrinkle up and dry up a lot more than the rest of your face. Okay, no offense here, y'all. Don't get mad at me, okay? Don't come swinging. But stop baking underneath your eyes. Stop it. Using powder and baking underneath your eyes is canceled. Period. And if you've watched any of my other tutorials, you know that I am not against setting your under eyes with powder. However, what I am slightly opposed to is baking, which is again taking excess powder and pressing it onto the skin. What I'm for is taking a light sweep of powder underneath the eyes in order to prevent creasing and caking. And one of the powders that I actually promote all the time is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder. Let's talk about some baking do's and don'ts, why don't we? The first baking do, which sounds so weird, is if you are someone who legitimately has oily skin. I mean, sister, you could literally fry some bacon on your face 2 hours after you put your makeup on. Like, you are oily. If that's the case, baking could be for you. And a really good place in that case to bake would be in your T-zone and in the areas where you tend to get a lot more oily. But still, even if you have oily skin, don't bake underneath your eyes. Another baking do. You can easily bake on your jawline in order to intensify your contour. Let's talk now about some baking don'ts. Do you have dry skin? Do you have flaky skin? Do you have a lot of texture? Because if you do, no baking. Using excess powder and baking your face when you have texture is only going to amplify the texture even more. Let's talk about another baking do. After you've baked your face and you've swept away all the powder, go in with a setting spray. What a setting spray is going to do is going to bring your skin back to life. It's going to go from looking dry and powdery to looking more glowing and more natural in its finish. So listen, there's not rules to makeup. If you want to continue baking your face and it works for you, go for it. I ain't gonna judge you. Like I say in all my videos, I'm not gonna judge you, girl. As a makeup artist, I feel like complexion is probably what I'm strongest at. I love perfecting my client's skin. I love making my client's skin smooth and buttery and yummy. And guess what? I don't bake. I've never baked any of my clients ever. Now let's talk about some powders that I approve for baking and a powder I think needs to be. The first powder that I would approve is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Powder. The number one thing I love about this powder is the fact that it's talc free and it's so finely milled that it doesn't look super heavy on the skin. I even sometimes will dust a small amount using a brush underneath my eyes to set my concealer. But if you are particularly oily, you can place it in the usual areas that you would bake. Now, let's talk about this. This is the Ben Nye Banana Powder. Now, this is the light version, but how many of y'all heard about the original banana powder? Y'all, we need to dial back on that because banana powder ain't for everybody. Fun fact, this particular powder, which is the Ben Nye Luxury Powder, comes in different shades. So if you're gonna use it, get a color that works for you. Sis, if you are deep skin toned, no banana. No, we're not going to use banana powder. We're going to go to the store and we're going to get a color that works for our skin tone. So now that banana powder is completely canceled, if banana powder works for your skin tone, then continue to use it. Otherwise, go to the store and try something else. The next powder that I really love for baking in the areas that get super oily is the Fenty Pro Filter Powder, which also comes in different colors. And like the banana powder by Ben Nye, make sure you get the right shade. But what I love about this one is it does smooth out the skin really nicely. I do not recommend, however, using this underneath the eye, but y'all already know I don't bake under the eyes, so. But you guys let me know in the comments below, do you bake? What do you think? Because I see it all over Instagram and I personally think it needs to not stop per se, but maybe we need to dial it back with the powder a little bit, okay? Stop putting Laura Mercier translucent powder underneath your eyes. It's got talc in it. It's no good for you. Well, that's all for today's video. It was just a quick little informative, maybe a little opinionated video on my thoughts on baking. And side note, before you go, just so you know, I am wearing the bright eyeshadow look that I already have posted. So if you're interested in getting the look I'm wearing right now, make sure you go back to my channel and check out the bright eyeshadow tutorial. But that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching.